You want to see something beautiful? Check out this basically collection, the systematic review of Withania somnifera. Otherwise, we'll refer to, for simplicity, as ashwagandha. Now, check this out. Now, this is a systematic review where they covered a ton of different studies, and a few of them qualified. And the ones that qualified were primarily randomized controlled trials, in which case many of these are parallel in design or crossover per se. Now, the cool part about this, now check this out. Now, the cortisol reduction outcome of each one of these particular randomized controlled trials is pretty consistent. And the reason I find that beautiful is because often in data science, data analytics, there may be something nefarious conducted, otherwise known as p-hacking. And p-hacking is we keep on doing studies until basically that green M&M can cure almost all world diseases. P-hacking, 1 in 20 chance by that 0.05 level, not to get into data science. But check this out. Now, another thing that's quite interesting about this is the secondary outcomes, especially if you look at testosterone and DHEA, which is quite amazing as well. Now, secondary outcomes really need their own study, but still, it is, I would say, a breadcrumb to future research. Now, also, too, the dosaging varies, but however, though, the timing to maximize that outcome appears to be around that 60-day period of time. Also, another interesting note, in regard to cortisol level reduction, if you look at it, plasma levels are much more profound than just testing for cortisol in saliva. So without further ado, let's get right into this basically systematic review in regard to this very ancient herb, Ashwagandha, Withania somnifera. So to begin, the effects of Withania somnifera on cortisol levels in stressed humans. A systematic review. Results. Of the 4,788 articles identified, only 9 studies. See, when people say something studied, that can be subjective. 9 studies met the selection criteria. The selected studies varied in terms of design, results, formulations, dosages, and treatment. Duration, 30 to 112 days, even though the results seem to be most profound at 60 days as we observed. And involved subjects with varying degrees of stress. Ashwagandha, I'll refer to as, for simplicity, supplementation decreases cortisol secretion with no significant adverse effects. Remember, I'm just pulling out highlights from the particular systematic review as a whole. The backstory. Currently, ashwagandha supplements are promoted especially for stress and anxiety, sleep, male infertility, and athletic performance. Reflect back on the testosterone and DHEA increase. Proceed. With increasing public use of ashwagandha, there's a growing need to understand its biological properties to validate and optimize its use. Now, the researchers here alluded to that ashwagandha often is used as a combination in which complicated ancient algorithms are derived to see what to mix with, what not to mix with, so on and so forth. But ashwagandha on its own, here we go. Ashwagandha has been the subject of extensive research into its pharmacological activities, but only a select few have been validated. 4,788 out of. In animal models, ashwagandha has shown antimicrobial, anti-tumor, anti-stress, neuroprotective, cardioprotective, and anti-diabetic activities. Moreover, the administration of ashwagandha seems to enhance male fertility treatment and aid in the regulation of thyroid hormone levels in individuals with subclinical hypothyroidism. And it might offer neurological benefits such as cognitive promotion. Meanwhile, in vitro studies have shown the molecular basis for its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activity. Vitro, not vivo. So looking in a test tube or petri dish or whatever. However, all these bioactivities need validation in vivo, living organism, and their mechanism of action requires additional studies. To conclude, ashwagandha, Withania somnifera, has a 1,000-year history, a little longer than that, of use in traditional Indian medicine. Currently, its readily available supplement supplement use is continuously growing. Forgive me. Therefore, it becomes necessary to scientifically evaluate and document both the efficacy and safety of this plant in humans. Ashwagandha contains a variety of active ingredients that possess numerous properties. Supplementation with ashwagandha for periods ranging from 30 to 112 days appears to have a stress-reducing effect by lowering cortisol levels in stressed individuals. However, it is important to note that none of the studies considered in this review have evaluated the potential impact of this reduction in cortisol on adrenal function. Future studies are necessary to elucidate this issue, since ashwagandha can potentially impact the levels of other hormones, as noted by testosterone and DHEA. The long-term effects of supplementation are not yet completely understood. It is advisable to consume ashwagandha supplements only under the guidance of a medical professional. Again, I want to bring up that one compilation of the randomized controlled trials, the 9 that they said qualified for the review, and leave it there so you can get a better look at it now that we've delved into it. And it is quite fascinating. And I love the consistency, redundancy. One study is great, multiple studies, supreme. Again, gratitude to the researchers for bringing this review to our attention. I am humbled you watch and look forward to see what you and I both discover next week. All right, catch you all next time. See you then. Bye.